Hello, I welcome you to Monday. I welcome you to New Week. I welcome you to another exciting edition of From the Newspaper this morning, streaming live from the premises of the Oasis Hotel, Akwete, Ibadan. This is MFM Radio and TV 97.3, where we study the agenda and project the truth. And don't forget, you can watch us live on Facebook at MFM Radio and TV. And as you're watching us, do well to like, comment, and share. Remember, don't forget this program is in form of 3 segments. The first segment is the weather forecast report of 3 major cities in Nigeria: the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, the commercial city of Lagos, and the vibrant city of Ibadan, where we are transmitting live from. Where the second segment of the show is the headlines of the newspaper, and as usual, always bring 4 newspapers to you every morning: the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, the Guardian newspaper. So moving on to the first segment on the show this morning, which is the weather forecast report. And the first city I'll bring in on this morning is the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. At 10 a.m. in Abuja this morning, it's mostly sunny with 28 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m. it's mostly sunny with 30 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m. it's partly sunny with 31 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m. it's partly sunny with 33 degrees Celsius. At 2 p.m. it's partly sunny with 34 degrees Celsius. And at 3 p.m. it's partly sunny with 34 degrees Celsius. At 4 p.m. it's mostly sunny with 35 degrees Celsius. At 5 p.m. it's mostly sunny with 34 degrees Celsius. At 6 p.m. it's mostly sunny with 33 degrees Celsius. At 7 p.m. it's clear with 32 degrees Celsius. At 8 p.m. it's clear with 30 degrees Celsius. And at 9 p.m. it's clear with 29 degrees Celsius. At 10 p.m. it's clear with 28 degrees Celsius. And at 11 p.m. it's clear with... To the second segment on the show, which is the headlines of the newspaper. And the first newspaper I'm bringing on this morning is the Punch newspaper. The latest story on the Punch newspaper says 9 local banks generate 14 trillion naira from loans, and page 21 has the details to that story. Tinubu's policy, and page 2 has the details to that story. Story on Punch newspaper this morning says Shettima visits Plateau today as Danjuma calls for self-defense, and page 7 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle. State police off agenda as NEC meetings Thursday, and page 2 has the details to that story. Another story says judgment analysis reports me to a LDPC Falana DS Wiki, and page 29 has details to that story. And there's one reader to the story that says Benue government pull resident security agency on red alert, and page 27 has the details to that story. Presidency, no candidate can win without note, says Baba Hamad, and page 3 has the details to that story. That's it to Malami, CPC killed, and page 6 has the details to that story. The Guardian newspaper this morning says this man in Benue, Plateau, has killings 8 over 284 in 3 months, and page 6 has the details to that story. Guardian newspaper says, National descending into tyranny 10th National Assembly Pinley, says Bakari, and page 7 has the details to that story. Khan urges Christians to promote dialogue, reconciliation, and page 3 has the details to that story.
Audio Jungle.
Nigeria needs cold chain infrastructure to curb 3.5 trillion post-harvest losses, and page 29 has the details to that story. And the last story on the Guardian newspaper this morning says, security warns bloggers, influencer against promoting. Story on the Nigerian Tribune this morning says, Kuka Bakari Atiku knocked the South Tinubu's government, and page 3 and 4 has the details to that story. There are 3 riders to that story. The first rider says, Nigeria is becoming a national merge, says Bishop Kuka. Tinubu can't solve Nigeria's worsening insecurity, says Atiku. And the last rider says, Mr. President, please stop playing God, says Tunde Bakari, and page 3 and 4 are the details to that stories.
Audio Jungle.
Another story on Nigerian Tribune says, influencer bloggers promoting unregistered investment schemes, says DG, and page 6 has the details to that story. AFDB president to African leaders build industries to create more jobs. And there's one reader to the story that says, when you expect raw materials, that is the door of poverty, it says, and page 7 has the details to that story. Another story says, Omokri, Tinubu's appointment reflects national character, and page 22 has the details to that story. Sunday on Okoya break chase marathon world record, and page 3 has the details to that story. Intercepts cocaine in Saudi Bond Religions book, in page 26 have the details to that story. Ban open grazing, create border security forces, David Mark tells federal government, and page 3 has the details to that story. Lagos building collapse, death row rise to 515 rescued alive, and page 626 has details to that story. PDP and WC meet next week to consider governor's recommendation, and page 22 has the details to that story. Alright, so to the end of from the second segment this morning. Before we dive into the last segment, let's go on a break. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
The Asia's Hotels and Conference Center is one and only event place with a clear difference and tasteful excellence here in the Asian city of Ibadan. For your next and upcoming event, whether marriage engagement, wedding reception, anniversaries, conferences, seminars, or birthday, the Asia's Hotels and Conference Center is affordable and fully equipped with all imaginable ultra-modern facilities for your total convenience without headache, security, power, environment, parking space, and royal service by their staff. All roads lead to the Aces Hotel and Conference Center today at kilometer 2.5 Ijokodo Akbete Akufo Road, Akere, Ibadan. For booking and more information, call 080-8746-7420, 080-9744-1898, or 080-2869-0012. The Aces Hotels and Conference Center, where comfortability speaks than words.
FM fún ìdálárayá, ètò àsìkò, ìkọ́nilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ìgbà gbogbo. FM ní kẹ́ ẹ máa gbọ́, ẹ má gbé kúrò níbẹ̀ nígbà gbogbo. Ẹni tó bá rí jó tí ò jó, ẹni tó bá láyọ̀ tí ò yọ̀, ọjọ́ tí ò pẹ́ ni ó sunra rẹ̀ láwọ̀ ara. FM ló ní kẹ́ ẹ rí jó, kẹ́ ẹ jó, kẹ́ ẹ ráyọ̀, kẹ́ ẹ sì máa yọ̀. FM ni ẹ máa gbọ́, ni ẹ máa wò nígbà gbogbo.
Gbogbo náà gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe sọ ní. Ẹ máa rí ọ̀wọ̀ dára AMFM and TV oníkọ́ lọ tọ́wọ́ ti dé.
So we are now in the last segment on the show this morning, which is the details to the headlines. And the first story I'll bring in on this morning says, it says interest boom. Nine local banks generate 14 trillion naira from loans. 9 Nigerian banks ranked in a combined interest income of 14.26 trillion naira in 2024. An analysis of the audited financial results of the financial institution shows. Limited indicated that the interest income earned by the 9 banks in the 2024 financial year rose by 119.25% to 14.26 trillion compared to 6.49 trillion in the previous year. According to the Corporate Financial Institute, interest income, the amount paid in the entity of the lending its money or letting another entire individual to corporate used its fund. Commercial bank, in their financial intermediary role, provide the funding for the productive sector of the economic. A breakdown of the result of the 9 banks shows that Access Holding grew its interest income by 98.69% to 3.11, its 5.3% to 803.5 billion naira. And Wema Bank interest income rises to 91.3% to close the year 354.63 billion naira from 185.65 billion naira. The financial institution with the highest interest income is percentage term by the first HoldCo, followed by GTCO and Zenith Bank. In actual terms, Zenith Bank ran the highest interest income of 1.58 trillion naira, followed by the Access Holding, which recorded a 1.54 trillion naira increase compared to the last year, the third HoldCo with a 1.46 trillion naira. Meanwhile, some of the lenders indicate that the interest income was accrued on the bad loan. For Zenith Bank, inspired financial asset amount to 18.25 billion naira and 18.25 billion naira and 5.48 billion naira for group and bank respectively. This revenue boosts the financial sector, come on the back to sustain hikes in monetary policy raised by the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. By the end of 2024, The MPC, bedrock of thriving Nigeria, would necessitate substantial monetary tightening as the baseline inflation rose to 34.80% as of December 2024. On a year-on-year headline inflation rate, year-on-year basis increased in December 2024 compared to the same month in the preceding year. And details of the news is on Punch newspaper. Another story says, State Police off agenda as NEC meets on Thursday. Deliberation for the creation of the State Police are off the agenda as the National Economic Council meets on Thursday, April 24. Multiple sources in the presidency confirmed the Punch late Sunday. Vice President of ASUROK Presidential Villa in Abuja. Thursday meeting came hate fresh attack Plateau, Benue and Enugu State. Since early April, more than 120 local governments has been shot, hacked bonds to death in Plateau State alone, according to Amnesty International and the multiple eyewitness accounts. Relief agency says a throw in higher, citing coordinate night raid on Bokos, Ambassa that left burnt home and 3,000 displaced in Plateau. In Benue, at least 56 people were killed in Logo and Bari after twins assault blames on armed husband. On February 15, 2024, the federal government alongside 36 states begins talk expected calculated in the creation of the state police. The first part of the agreement reached an overnight emergency meeting between President Bola Tinubu and State Governor at the ASUROK Villa, Abuja. It follows similar pockets of killing and kidnappings recorded nationwide, hikes in food price and economic hardship. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who addressed journalists after the meeting, explained that the process was still in infancy and would have to take shape after more deliberation between stakeholders. Following this, the National Economic Council requests each state to submit details, reports outlining their position, and plans for implementing state police. By March 2024, 16 states submitted their report, with the remaining 20 expected to do so by May of the year. However, the process would drag until December 2024, when all states finally submitted their report. At the 147th meeting that month December, Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State revealed that the council had received reports from all 36 states, excluding the FCT. Sani announced, he cited the vast ungoverned space in Nigeria and the accurate shortage of security personnel, including police, armed and other relevant agencies, which are unable to cover all areas adequately. However, the council deferred conclusive discussion until January to allow further stakeholder engagement and the comply of comprehensive reports to the next secretary. However, the council did not sit in January 2025. Sources in the presidency and the council told the Punch correspondent that January 31st was suggested, but it was during an emergency meeting governor from the People Democratic Party, Asaba, the Delta capital, that Friday. Stakeholders in favor of that policing arguing that the centralized structure can be better tackle region-specific security threats to improve accountability at the local level. Opponents, however, worry about the potential misuse of the state government, which could breed political intimidation and weaken national cohesion. Despite the consensus among states, finalizing any framework requires constitutional amendments and extensive coordinating between the federal government and states. And the details of the news is on Punch newspaper. Security warns influencers, bloggers against promoting unregistered streams. The Security and Exchange Commission has warned influencers, bloggers, and celebrities to desist from promoting unregistered investments claimed to risk legal consequences. In a statement made available to Punch correspondents on Sunday, the warning following the enhancement of the Investment and Securities Act 2025, which was signed into law by President Bola Tinubu. The law explicitly defines the Ponzi scheme and empowers the Commission to impose a minimum fine of 20 million and a jail term for 10 years on promoters of such schemes. Speaking on the new provision, the Security Director General, Emomoto Mimi Agama, said that the Commission is working closely with the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, the Nigeria Police Force, and the other law enforcement agency to investigate and prosecute violators. He noted that the security is intensifying the crackdown on wholesale operators following the collapse of CBEX, a digital investment platform, accused by defrauding Nigeria over 1.3 trillion. CBEX reportedly lured investors with the promises of unrealistic returns and false claims of global affiliations. According to the security boss, the ESA 2025 also brings digital assets under the regulatory oversight of the Commission for the first time. He said the virtual assets are now officially recognized and securities as such vital assets. Service provider and digital assets exchange are mandated to register with the security and comply with the relevant rules. And the details of the news on Punch newspaper. NYSC releases posting for prospective corps member warning against night travel. The National Youth Service Corps has released Stream 1 posting for the 2025 Batch A prospective corps member. This is just is noted that the signing and printing of the addendum is vital for camp entry. According to a series of postings on its X handle on Monday, the NYSC said document is crucial for registration and avoid potential service disruption, as some camps may require it for verification. It stressed that the addendum is typically accessible on the NYSC will have their orientation course in Ogun, Ondo, and Osun camp, while some PCM deployed to Abuja will have their orientation camp in Nasarawa and Kaduna camp. It also advised CPMAs not to travel at night to avoid orientation camps, and the details of the news is on Punch newspaper. Presidency pushes back as Bakare Kuka criticized Tinubu's policy. Former presidential aspirant and presiding overseer of the Lagos-based Global Community Cathedral Church, Pastor Tunde Bakare, has sworn that under President Bola Tinubu, Nigeria risks a popular uprising unless the administration change course on security and economy. Addressing worshipping during the Easter State of the National Broadcast in Ikeja, the former APC presidential aspirant said, the country is being driven towards the brink aims a fresh wave of killing in Plateau, Benue, and Enugu. Bakare, who runs against Tinubu for APC ticket in 2022, said the economic pain unleashes the fuel subsidy removal, naira devaluation, and runaway inflation is pushing citizens to the brink. Despite headline inflation rising to 23.80% in February after hitting 28 years peak in 2024, food price remained relatively high, once 460 naira per dollar. Before the unverification of the exchange rate, the naira now hovered the 1,500. Most of forest scarcity and endorsed margin have to lead the unrest exit corporates from Diago to undeliver from the Nigerian market. In the latter months of 2024, food price spiked to trigger vital stampede for the crowd-flooded charity event to claim food item and right, while the World Bank estimates that more than 1 million Nigerians fell into severe food insecurity in the past 12 months. Since the beginning of April, more than 180 locals have been shot, hiked and burned to date in Plateau State alone, according to Amnesty International and multiple eyewitness accounts. Relief agencies say the throw is higher, citing the coordinate night raid on Boko's and Basa of the burnt home. 3,000 displaced in Benue and at least 56 people were killed. Chidi Avadia for the alleged violation of their constitution. A statement signed by the acting world chairman Umbezo Hundumil and the secretary Ifeanyi John, who made available to the Punch correspondent on Monday, stated that the decision was reached after the world meeting at Saturday at Okuchi Civil Quo, Okewu Oloko. The statement also announced the suspension of another member of the party, identified as Okenye Selfta, for the alleged
impersonation, and the set up 7 main disciplinary committee to investigate the allegation against the two of the News is on Punch newspaper.
Audio Jungle.
Before moving on, let's go on a short break. Stay tuned, I'll be right back.
Pẹ̀lẹ́ o, AKINYEMI TV, oníkẹ́mọ́ gbọ́, oníkẹ́mọ́ wò lórí Instagram, lórí Facebook, oníkẹ́mọ́ gbọ́ òjẹ̀mọ́ mi. Ẹ wá wo ìṣẹ̀nú ọ̀pálábá, ẹ wá wo rẹ̀ ti ṣe láwùjọ òjò. Gbogbo ìkànnà gbé wá bẹ̀, gbogbo eré olólùfẹ́ mi, ẹ̀yọ́ rẹ̀ wá ọkọ sọ fún ìyàwó rẹ̀ AKINYEMI TV, oníkẹ́mọ́ gbọ́. AKINYEMI TV.
Radio and TV on Facebook, and as you're watching us, please don't forget to like, comment, and share. Tinubu returns to Nigeria today, says presidency. President Bola Tinubu is expected to return to Nigeria today after spending nearly 2 weeks abroad. A special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, has confirmed. In a brief post shared on X on Monday, Onanuga wrote President Bola Ahmed Tinubu returned home today. Earlier, the presidency had assured Nigerians that the president remained fully engaged with the national governor despite his stay overseas. In a statement released last Thursday, Onanuga said the president left Paris for London, adaptive to security, chief to address emerging threats in some parts of the country. He emphasized that Tinubu's absence was temporary and in line with the communicated time frame of approximately 2 weeks, with a return scheduled for April 21st after Easter holiday. Tinubu has departed for Paris on April 2, 2025 for what the presidency described as a 2 weeks working visit. According to Onanuga, the purpose was to appraise his administration, mid-term performance, and assess key milestones. However, his prolonged stay had brought spark criticism for the opposition leaders aimed in growing insecurity in the parts of the country, particularly in Plateau and Benue State. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi had both questioned the president's absence in light of escalating violence. Atiku through the media head Paul Ibe criticized Tinubu's continued stay abroad, describing it as irresponsibility on the part of the APC-led government. Meanwhile, Obi also urged Tinubu to return immediately to address the worsening security crisis. Response to the criticism, APC Publicity Director Bala Ibrahim dismissed claims of the leadership vacuum, and the details of the news is on Punch newspaper.